Hello everyone and welcome to Merlin's Manor for Game Mechanics Monday. And today I'm going to be talking about polyomino placement games. Now what is a polyomino placement game? It's basically where you take different Tetris kind of shaped pieces, and some a little bit more complicated than your typical Tetris shapes, and you go ahead and you try to place them on a board, oftentimes to score points, sometimes to be able to build up a certain area to be able to do other things to score points. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the polyomino games that I think do this mechanic very well. First of all, we have my first one that I ever played, which was the Isle of Cats. And this is the game that got me into polyomino placement games. It's still one of my top games, maybe even my #1 game there. I really enjoy the polyomino placement games in general, all because of this game, get it all started off for me. And so in this game, you are going to be taking your boat like this, and this is one of the new boats from the Kickstarter, and you are going to be putting cats on them. So you're going to have these different types of cats like these, various different colors. I got 4 of the 5 different colors out here for y'all to look at. And you're going to be placing these somewhere on your board. And as you can see, you've got kind of little squares in there that kind of guide you as to where you're going to be placing these things. And so you might place it there like that. And then from then on, you kind of have to place next to something you've already placed. And you're going to be trying to cover up rats, because rats are negative points at the end. You're going to try to fill in as many of the different rooms as you can, because you'll lose 5 points per room that you don't fill in. And you're also going to be scoring points for all the different cat families that you get of 3 or more cats of the same color that are together. You're going to have bonus cards that give you points as well. And rare treasures are going to give you points. You're also not just collecting cats, but you're collecting treasures. You've got rare and regular common treasures. The rare ones give you 3 points apiece. And the common treasures are usually used mainly to fill in different areas, although there are a few other uses that you'll find from different cards throughout the game. And so that's basically what you're trying to do, is fill in as much of this boat as you can, as well as scoring points from your bonus cards and other areas, and trying to minimize the negative points. And so it's a great puzzly type of game, where you're trying to balance all these different things and trying to fit these different pieces onto your board as best as you can. And you can't have anything hanging over the edges of the board, and so you have to be mindful of what's going to fit where. And so I like that puzzle nature, and pretty much all of these different polyomino games, or at least most of them, provide quite a bit of a puzzle of trying to figure out how you can get these different pieces to fit in there. That's just the nature of the polyomino type game. The next game I want to mention is My City. And My City, you're going to have this city right here, and you are going to be filling it in. You've got this river here. You start by one of the river, somewhere near the river, and you can't cross over the river with a piece. You can do both sides of one, and then you're going to play adjacent to what you've already played. And you are going to then, so basically you will start, let's say like we started right here. If I can get that up there like that. And then you are from then going to try and fill in. You don't want to cover up trees, because those are going to be plus 2 points for every set of 2 trees that you get at the end of the game. You will want to cover up the rocks, however, because those are negative 2 points for any that are left at the end of the game. You can't place on the forest areas or the mountain areas. And you're going to be trying to fill up as much as you can. And in each color, you will get points also for the number of buildings in the largest group. You're going to get 3 colors next to a church, you're going to get points. You're going to get 4 buildings next to a well, you'll get points. And you'll get points for negative points for empty light green spaces. And in this game, you are going to be filling up as much as you can, and at some point in the game, you might want to go ahead and say, okay, I'm taking all that I'm going to take. I'm not going to take any more, and bow out of the game, and then everybody else will kind of continue on until they all bow out, because any pieces that you can't place legally on your board, you're going to get a negative 1 point for each one of those. So at some point you may decide, okay, I'm just going to be done. Now in the legacy version of this game, which is how I kind of recommend starting out if you want to go ahead and get started into this game, it's going to have different rules that get added in throughout the game. Different mechanics are going to be added in outside of what you see here in the regular legacy or regular Eternal game. And so each game is going to play a little bit differently. And it also starts you out kind of very simple, and then kind of builds as you go throughout the game. And then I don't want to spoil too much about what's going on there, but it was a very interesting campaign for me and my wife to play through. and I highly recommend the Legacy version of this game. We haven't actually played the Standard yet, but it plays in a very similar manner with some of the game's mechanics that you pick up along the way, but not all of them. And so I believe it's going to be a lot of fun to play the Standard as well, but I highly recommend the Legacy element of this game. It adds a lot to the game. The next game I want to mention is New York Zoo. And New York Zoo, this is kind of a race type of game. You're going to have a zoo, and you are going to be trying to fill up every square on this board. And you're going to be each time drafting various pieces, kind of like these right here. I'll just give you a couple examples. And you're going to be placing those on your board. And you're also, along the way, going to be picking up some of these animal meeples, which will grant you some special pieces when you go ahead and fill up an entire one of these pieces with animals. You'll be able to then turn them in and get a special piece that will either fill up more space on your board or some of the smaller pieces that you can use as fill-in areas, because just using these pieces, you're going to find areas that need a 1 or a 2 or a 3 that just doesn't fit with these types of pieces that you're going to be getting around the board. And so you got this puzzle between how much you're going to focus on getting these pieces versus how much you're going to get those animal meeples to be able to fill in on your board to get the special amusement type pieces. And so it's a great puzzle to try and figure out how you're going to fill in your board. It's a race to fill it in first, and you just basically win if you get your board completed, every single square filled in. So there's no point system here, it's just race to get it done. And so that was an interesting kind of take on this Polyomino type game. Okay, the next game that I want to talk about that does this mechanic really well is Planet Unknown. And at Planet Unknown, you are basically colonizing a planet. And so let's get this planet over here. And so you're going to take this as the standard planet right here, and you are going to be trying to add your Polyomino tiles onto this planet. And you're going to have this set up in the front for everybody, where you're going to have all these different tiles, and you're going to be able to pick from the 2 that are in front of you at each round. And in the 3+ player version of this game, you're going to switch who is the commander. And the commander is going to get to choose which tiles are in front of them that turn, and then so everybody's going to be stuck with the ones that are kind of turned to be in front of them. So after you pick your tile, you're going to place it on your planet, and then you're going to take the actions associated with the 2 different types of terrain that you are on your tile that you placed. This one will allow you to advance once on the water track. And this one is an energy one, which is kind of a wild. It allows you to advance on any of the tracks that its terrain is currently touching. You'll have, like this one right here, you're going to advance on the greenery track. And this one here, you're going to advance on the tech track. Now you notice this meteorite symbol here, you're actually going to place a meteorite on there. Meteorites give you points at the end of the game if you've collected them with your rover. But they are going to keep you from scoring rows if they are left on the board when you get done with the round. So you kind of have to balance there whether you're going to take whether you're going to take one with a meteorite on it or not. You have some that, this one advances on the rover track. And you also have a sieve track, as can be seen from this one. That black color right there. And so you have these different tracks, and here's a look at that. So when you place your Polyomino on your planet, you're going to take the 2 actions associated there, and you're going to get different scoring points along those lines. I'm going to go ahead and go into a deeper review on this later on this week, and so be looking for that review. But for now, that is a basic overview of how this plays, and also you've got some non-standard planets I just want to mention that you are able to do. And so you'll be placing those on there, taking their benefits, and it's an interesting game as you try and fill in as much as you can of your planet. The final game that I want to mention as doing this mechanic really well is Whistle Mountain. And Whistle Mountain, you're playing a little bit differently than the other Polyomino placement games, as you're not really kind of worried about being tight and trying to fit everything into a good condensed shape, but instead you are actually just mainly using them to kind of build up. Although as you're building up, you are wanting to make rectangle shapes that you can place machines on in order to be able to have those machines to score points and get different benefits along the way. And so, but it's a little bit different in that you're not really trying to focus on filling in an area as much as you are just kind of building up in order to do other actions. And so I just want to mention this. It's kind of a unique way of doing this polyomino placement. And one more honorable mention at this point that I want to bring up is Tapestry. It is not a tile placement game, but rather you do get these little buildings that are different shapes that you are going to be trying to place on your board. And so it's kind of an interesting take on that polyomino shape type placement. It's a little bit different than what I want to focus on here with these tile placements, but I just kind of wanted to make a brief honorable mention of that because it does take an interesting way, and it kind of has that 3D aspect of it as you're actually placing these little buildings on there. And so these are games that do the polyomino placement well. What are some polyomino placement games that you enjoy? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and I'll catch you in the next video.